Welcome back. Today I'm going to try to solve some puzzles on chess.com in the hopes of getting better at chess. If you're new to my channel, I'm not a titled player or a chess coach or anything like that. I'm just a random person who enjoys chess and I'm trying to get better at it. Usually at the end of my videos, I say, thank you for spending your time here and I'll see you next time. But I know that not everybody makes it to the end, so I do appreciate you spending your time here. And also, let me know what you're doing to get better at chess. Besides solving puzzles or analyzing your games, that's what I've been focusing on. In this puzzle, I am playing with the white pieces. I do have a few checks. Obviously, I have 3 different checks with my queen. I'm pretty sure that c8 is bad because their rook is guarding that square. I also have a check with the rook down here on d8. In all of those cases, except the one where the rook takes me, I assumed the king would just move out of check. I also just noticed I have this check over here too on f7. That one looks like either their queen or their king could take me because their queen is on that diagonal. A few of the things I usually look at before starting to really analyze the puzzle is the material count. In this case, it looks like my opponent's just up 1 pawn. Another thing is how much danger am I in? In this case, it looks like they could pick off one of my pawns, but can't quite checkmate yet, at least if it was their turn, because my queen is guarding g2. And tactical motifs, which usually involve something like a pen, a fork, a skewer. In this case, they don't have any undefended pieces back here, but their pieces have left defense of their king. Well, I guess let's just handle all these checks in turn, except for that one and this one, which we've already determined they would just take my pieces. And I don't think either one of them is a valid sacrifice because I wouldn't then be able to checkmate. I would have just lost a piece. Okay, so let's look at the queen check here and queen check here. In both of those cases, I think their king would just move up 1. The difference between those two, as far as I can tell, is that a8 gets my queen behind this pawn. But in neither one of those cases would I have a follow-up check. I guess I could bring the rook down after that, after their king moved up to g7, and then I would be threatening another check, but either one of those would just let the king out. Another difference between those 2 checks down there is that on b8, I would be able to come up to a diagonal later. For example, if I checked on b8 and the king moved up here, I would be able to come back and check again. And then they would have multiple choices, including going back to the back rank, blocking with the pawn, or coming out to the h-file. I've spent over 7 minutes here trying to figure this out. I'm going to check queen to b8. Oh, it was that. Okay. The only thing that makes sense to me now is to check again, and I think that's my only safe check, because those 3 checks down there are no good, and that's my only other check, right? It's not my only other check. Obviously, I can check down on b2, but that seems just as bad as going, down there behind the king on the 8th rank. Okay, I'm going to check on e5. I don't know if that's right, and I don't know what will happen afterward if it is right. It was right, and they did block with the pawn. Well, now I have 2 safe checks this way. I don't know which one is better. I suspect it's the rook. And the reason I say that is because if I check with the queen on e7 and they come out, then I'm going to have a hard time checking them again. I guess I could come back, but yeah, I think I should check with the rook, because then when they come out, then I can check with the queen, but then they block with the pawn. Well, I don't know. I'm going to check with the rook, and that's it. Sorry, that was over 10 minutes on my end. What's the answer? I'm just checking them, and they're moving around. I've got to go to the analysis board. And I mentioned, I think at the end of my previous video, that I'm considering strongly resetting my puzzle rating and starting over, and I asked for your input on that. I'm really considering it now. If even the puzzles that I get right, I don't understand, then, because after this, they're just gonna, it says they're gonna block with the queen. It says they're gonna block with the queen. If they do, is it my best move to take it? No, not necessarily. It's not outstanding. It would be just as good for me to go to queen to d5. And if I did that, then they would take my rook. So what about king to h6? And why doesn't, okay, now I know that it's not one of those 3 down there, because if it's g8 or h8, then I have checkmate. And if they go to f8, I think I would take the pawn here on f6, and then I would have mate on the next turn. But what about king to h6? Since they have a mate in 3 by checking on queen to f4. Okay, see, it should have gone this direction, because I probably would have played down here. Because on queen to f4, the pawn directly interferes, and that's what it says they would play. So how bad would queen to e3 be? Oh, I would still have a mate in 7. They would still block with the pawn, but then I would play queen to e7, and I have a mate in 6. Okay, well, backing up, my best move here, it says, would have been queen to f4, and they would have blocked here. Oh, and then I would have taken the F pawn to get a mate in 2. They have to go to H5 now, and then I check with the rook because my queen is guarding this and their own pawn's in the way and my pawn's guarding this. Oh my goodness. Okay, next puzzle. Okay, it looks like my opponent has just given up a knight. I have 2 different ways to take it back. I also have these 2 bishops looking at each other down here. I guess first we should look for checks. Also, these 2 bishops are looking at each other. Good grief. Any other pieces looking at each other? Okay, my queen and my rook are guarding the bishop on A6, which means, should I take this knight with my king then? Or should I castle? No, I shouldn't castle. I should take the knight with my king. I'm going to do that. Oh, they took over there. Well, then I'm going to take the rook with my rook, pretty sure. And then take the bishop with my queen. And then the bishop with the pawn. Think I understand, and I think this is the only move that I had to think about. All the rest seemed really obvious because the bishop's protected, this bishop's protected twice, and they have 2 attackers on it. And so if I took this knight with my queen, which is the other way to take, then that bishop wouldn't be defended anymore. And also my king's getting out of the way of the rook, which helps to defend the other rook. So that was the only move that really required any thinking. And here I'm not going to take with my queen first. I'm going to take with the rook first and then the queen and then there take that one. Okay, so yeah, that one, only the first move was very kind of difficult. Okay, next puzzle. Okay, they have attacked my queen. Let's see, what else is going on here? I am down a piece, looks like, because I only have 1 minor piece. The opponent has 2. We both have 2 rooks and a queen. Neither one of us castled. Well, any tactical motifs other than their queen's undefended here, but I don't think that may not be, you know, that great of a target. Their king is kind of undefended as well, and that's what I'm looking at here is checks. I have several checks, but this check looks the most promising. Queen to F7 because it's defended by the knight. That would force their king. They would only have 1 legal move. King goes to D8. Then I could check again with the knight. The king would be forced over, and I would not have checkmate because their knight is there. Wait. Let's back up a couple of moves on that little string. If I check here, they move over, and I check again, and they're forced over. Since I don't have the mate on C7 because their knight's guarding that square, I would be able to slide in here, and that would be mate, right? Because my knight's guarding this, and my queen would be guarding those 2 squares. Okay, well, let's try that, and check here with the knight, and then come in this way. Okay, good. That one seemed a lot easier to me than the first puzzle, but it's rated about the same. Next. Oh, endgame puzzle. Okay. One thing that's good about these is that there are so few pieces, it's very easy to do process of elimination. In this case, I think we can eliminate the pawn. The pawn only has 1 legal move here because, you know, there's nothing to capture, so it can only go forward to G4. And if I go forward to G4, they're going to take it, and I'm going to take it, and that's going to be the end. It's going to be a draw due to insufficient material. Well, let's look at king moves. First, let's mark off the squares that my king cannot move to. Their king and their pawn are guarding 4 of the squares. I don't think it makes any sense to move away from the pawns or their king because that lets their king come closer. I think it only makes sense to go toward the pawn to where I can capture it. So I'm guessing that the hard part is going to be on the subsequent moves because I don't know what they're going to play then. They're probably not going to push their pawn, but if they do, we'll deal with that when the time comes. Assume they're going to move their king, but I don't know. But this move, it can't be anything other than king to G3, right? Oh, they did push the pawn. Okay, this is the hard one because it matters. It matters which one I take with. Why does it matter? It matters, I think it matters because it's going to change the file that my pawn is on. If I take with my pawn, then my pawn's going to be on the H file. They're going to bring their king over. I'm going to bring my king over. They're going to bring their king over, and then they're in front of my pawn. And they can force a draw, I'm pretty sure. But if I take with my king, then my pawn's on the G file. And I don't know what they'll do, but I should be able to get my pawn down. So I'm going to take with my king on H4. All right, so this is another hard one. Okay, yeah, so some of these, the first move is obvious, but then the hard part comes later. Well, they did the right thing by trying to get in front of the pawn, and I can't move my king forward to either of those squares, right? So my only choices are to move the king back, which that seems bad because they're going to keep coming, or to move my king in front of my pawn, or to move the pawn. Okay, if I move the pawn, I'm pretty sure they're going to go over here because that's what I would do. And then if I move the pawn again, they're going to get in front of it and we're in trouble. So I think I have to put the king in front of the pawn, because then my king guards all of those 3 squares and they have to go one way or the other. And whichever way they go, I'll go the opposite direction and keep pushing the pawn, I think. I'm going to get in front of my pawn. Oh, and it stopped. Okay. Oh, wow. Oh, I was supposed to get that in 27 seconds. Oh, well, good luck. Maybe you'll get it in 27 seconds, but I did not. Next puzzle. I mean, that seems like a good move. Also, looks like they're about to take my rook, which is possibly what they should have done on the previous turn. Well, I want to move my queen, but I don't know where. I mean, I kind of want to just move it up a little bit because then I would be threatening checkmate. What do they play if I move my queen up 1? Are they going to take my rook and then I get out of check and then they take the other rook and then I checkmate them? They could also check me here first, but oh, that might be worse. I mean, look at that. If I move my queen up to e4 and they check me here, I can't come up. So I would only be able to go over one way or the other. And I don't know what difference it would make. Then they would take that rook and I would have to get up to the 7th rank. And they could check me again or take the rook. But if they took the rook, I'd have mate. So they would check me again. I would have to run. But it's going to make a difference, apparently, which one of those 2 squares I go to. But that's if queen to e4 is the right move. And I don't know that it is. Oh, boy. I'm going to go queen to e4 because I don't know what else could possibly be the answer here. It doesn't, if I try to save the rook, they get my queen. If I try to save my queen anywhere else, then they still get the rook with check and I'm not threatening checkmate. So I'm going to go here. Oh, and they did check me with the bishop. Okay, so it does matter which one of these 2 squares I go to. Oh, the reason it matters is because if I go to e8, well, then they checkmate me. No, because my queen's there. Well, then what's the difference? Because either way, they're going to take my rook with check, I assume, and I'm going to get out to f7. But for some reason, it does make a difference. Wow. Yeah, I honestly can't decide between those 2, but somebody's going to tell me why one's better than the other one, I'm sure. Okay, maybe the reason that the e one is worse is because they also can check here or win the rook. Maybe that's it? Okay, what's the downside of going to g8? They can't mate me because I would just take it. They can't check me here. They can't safely check me here. They can only safely check me by winning the rook. And then I'll come out to f7. They can check me again by coming back to where they are now. And then I will move out. I'm going to go to g8. Hopefully that's right. It was. Oh, and they did that thing. Well, now I only have 1 legal move, so I'm going to do that. And now I have 2 legal moves. I'm going to guess that going to the light-colored square is better because if I went to the dark square, they could check me again. So I'm going to go to g6. And oh, and then they gave away the queen. Well, I'm going to take it. Okay, but what was the difference? I've got to know. That's the one question I had about this. Oh, good. Oh, I got 4 points for that one. I think I only got 3 points for all the others. Do I have time? I have time real quick to look at the analysis board. What's the difference between these 2? Going to e8 results in a draw, and it is because of c6. Okay, but then I go to the 7. Oh, but they get closer. But then I go to g6, and suddenly they're winning because they can check me here. Oh, okay. So here I would have had to have gone to f6. And it's because of this, because they don't have to take my rook, they can zigzag this way. That was a difference. Okay, I didn't see that. So that's why it had to be, after they checked with the bishop, it had to be g8, and it was their best move to take the rook, and then my only move to come out. Wait, I had 2 legal moves? Oh, I could have blocked with the queen. I guess. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I could have, and then lost immediately. Okay, so I came out, and here the engine says it doesn't matter which one of those that they go to, but they went to one of them. I go to g6. And just to be sure, the reason that I wouldn't go to f6, yeah, it's because they could check again. Okay, so I went to g6, and it was their best move to give away the queen and to take it. Now there's nothing they can do to prevent the mate, apparently, except for continuing to give away pieces. Wow. All right. Well, that first one took a long time, but maybe it helped me to get in the mindset, and I'm doing okay since then. Let's try one more. Fingers crossed. And then I'll be done for the day. Again, they've attacked my queen. Man, these opponents are really into that sort of thing. I guess let's look at our checks. I have a check with the rook. That's not the rook. I have a check with the knight down on f1, which I assume they would just take. But then the knight gets out of the way for my queen, and they would have to go back. And then I don't know what I would do. Oh, my queen's facing off with their rook right now. My rook is facing off with their queen right now. Well, I wish I had seen that a second ago. Could have saved myself some time with that checking stuff. Okay, let's start over. What's the material count? We both have 2 minor pieces, 2 rooks, and a queen. And it looks like we both have 4 pawns, so we're dead even on material. Then tactical motifs. Their king looks like it's in a little harder spot than mine, except my own pawn's in the way. My own pawn is causing some trouble here. Well, let's look at checks first. Is this my only check? Knight to f1, I think that's my only check. I don't know. They might just get out of check, but I assume they would take it with their rook, and then I would have the follow-up with the queen, and then they would just get out of check. And then I would take their queen with my rook. Wait, maybe that's it. If I give up the knight, check them, they get out of check, then my queen is safe temporarily, and I get their queen for the rook. Okay, I'm going to try that. Oh, they took with the bishop. I didn't even see that thing over there. I mean, I saw it because I counted it a second ago, but I'm going to get my queen out of danger by checking, and then take their queen. I think that's the right answer. Take the queen with the rook, and then I would have given up a rook and a knight for their queen. Because I don't think I have a mate here, right? If I advance this pawn, what do? And then if I advance the pawn again, they just get in front of it. So I'm going to take their queen. Oh, okay. Oh, and I got 4 points for that one too. Well, good for me. The theme was sacrifice. What? I know I'm not supposed to be distracted by that, but I'm already done. My time is up, and I was just trying to think, what did I sacrifice? I took their queen for 2 minor pieces, or, you know, lesser pieces, I should say. I guess they're counting the knight as a sacrifice because it didn't capture anything. Maybe. Okay. Well, as I said at the beginning, I do appreciate you spending your time here, and let me know what you're doing to get better at chess. And I'll see you next time.